All right. So, good evening, all. I am 𝗟𝗰𝗲𝗯𝗍𝗓, the host for today's webinar. I welcome you all on behalf of Anamify.com. And let us start. The topic for today's webinar is Unlock Your Inner Potential. And in this, we'll be focusing on how being conscious awareness can help us in our overall well-being. So let us start with a story. This story is on focus and inner potential. Here, it's a Zen archer story. There's an ancient Zen skilled archer by the name 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗯𝗍𝗓, who was known throughout his land for his incredible precision. He could hit the bullseye time and again without fail. One day, a young student approached him and asked, "Master, how do you manage to hit the target with such unwavering accuracy?" 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗯𝗍𝗓 smiled and led the student to a clearing where they set up a target. He said, "Watch carefully." The master said, taking his position, but something was different this time. Instead of focusing on the target, 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗯𝗍𝗓 closed his eye, took a deep breath, and released the arrow. It soared through the air and landed perfectly in the center of the bullseye. The student was astonished, and he said, "Master, how is it possible to hit the target without even looking at it?" 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗯𝗍𝗓 replied. He said, "The secret is not in the bow, the arrow, or even the target. It is in my mind. When I quiet my thoughts, I become fully present and align with my true inner awareness. The target no longer exists as something separate from me. It becomes part of my being." So what is the lesson in this story? This story sets the idea that unlocking our inner potential is less about focusing on our external achievements and more about cultivating conscious awareness within ourselves. Just as the archer hit his target through presence and focus, we too can, with our deep abilities for our well-being, we can tune into the present moment, quietening our inner chatter and align with the conscious awareness. And as you know, many of you are very regular participants of Anamify.com evening sessions like this, and many of you are well familiar names I can see online. So you are knowing that Anamify.com is doing these sessions from the space of mental well-being, mental health, and particularly in the field of relationships. So today's session, I will try to dwell deeper into some of the things which I have observed in many of my coaches who come for coaching, and they present to us their challenges. And what I found was that this is a topic of being consciously aware and dwell a little deeper together, it will give you a more insight into already the powers which are lying well within us. So before I go further, let me start with creating the distinction between consciousness and awareness. So being conscious, what exactly does it mean? Imagine you are driving on a highway late at night and you are feeling exhausted after a long day. As your eyes droop, you start to zone out. You are still driving, but you don't notice how you change lanes or when you pass the last exit. And suddenly you hear a loud honk. You jolt upright. Your heart starts racing. And you realize that you are veered into another lane. You quickly correct your course. Wide awake now, alert, and aware of your understanding. So in that moment before the honk, you were actually conscious, in the sense you were physically awake. You were behind the wheel. You were going through the motions, but your mind wasn't fully engaged in the task. And you weren't paying attention to that. So being conscious is a basic state of wakefulness. When you are physically awake, but not necessarily fully focused on what's happening around you. So a very common example is nowadays being on mobile phone and texting on your phone. So you might be sitting in the room with your family members, but not truly engaged. So you are physically present, but mentally disconnected from what's going on. Seems familiar? Let's go further and let's see what is being aware. Let's imagine a different scenario. You are walking through a park on a sunny day. As you walk, you are deliberately focusing on every step you take. You feel the ground beneath your feet. You notice the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of the birds singing, and the way the leaves rustle in the breeze. Each breath you take feels deep and refreshing. You are fully present. You are paying attention to every detail around you. In this scenario, you are aware. You are not just physically awake, but your attention is intentionally focused on the present moment. You are fully engaged with your environment, with the sensations and the thought. So being aware is a deeper state of mindfulness, where you actively focus on the present moment without any distractions. It's about being fully engaged with what you are doing, feeling, or thinking at any given time. Let's go further deep into this conscious awareness and see what is it that each of us has if we dwell deeper into the conscious awareness. And here I would like to invite your attention towards what is there, which is definitely there in all of us, but sometimes we fail to recognize. And this is when we go and connect with our inner selves. It is about finding meaning, purpose, and connection in the life. It can be a complex topic, but let's make it a little simpler by, again, going through some of the core concepts first. What exactly we mean when we say connection? Connection can mean different things to different people. It can be connection to something bigger. This can be a higher power. This can be nature. This can be even community. And this can be even your inner self. And then once you get connected, that is when you start finding meaning. And it is about finding purpose and meaning in life. Why are we here? What is the point of it all? And what is the point why we are asking all these questions? Because it is about finding our inner peace and tranquility. So by being consciously aware, we can help to cope with our life's challenges and can find a sense of calm. So how it can be done? Let us see what are some of the practices all of us follow. Some of us follow meditation. And in meditation, what we do? In meditation, we try to focus our mind and we try to calm the body. Then there are others who find this conscious awareness by doing prayers. It is a way of communicating with the higher power or the universe. And then there are some of us who do it by practicing yoga. In yoga, what we do? We combine our physical posture. We do certain breathing exercises and then try to meditate over it. And then there are some of us who like to spend time with nature. We connect with the natural world, and that becomes our uplifting experience. So it is, in a way, unique journey for each person. And there is no right or wrong way. It's a personal journey. And it is with this open-mindedness when we explore different paths and then try to see what resonates with each of us, that we then get drawn towards it. We start getting pulled towards it, and then we start focusing on that. So in sum total, if I say so, in last 12, 14 minutes, what I have talked about being consciously aware, it is about finding a deeper connection to yourself and the world around you. Let's go a little further deep in that. And in this, I would like to bring to you the 7 different qualities which we express with our inner core. And when I say inner core, I say when we dwell deep into our conscious awareness, we find that we have the innermost core, which some of us call soul, And some of us call, the unity, some of us call by some other different names. But all of us agree that this inner core, this soul, has got 7 qualities. And that is why in our, wisdom literature, we call it Satoguni Atma, the 7 qualities of the soul. Let us see one by one what is that. The first quality is the quality of peace. Peace is our default state. When there is no internal conflict or agitation, it is calmness that comes from within. And it is not dependent on the external world. So let me give you an example. This example is of, say you are stuck in traffic. And most people around you are honking. And they are getting frustrated. So instead of reacting with irritation, if you take a deep breath, relax, and accept the situation, then you stay calm and peaceful. And you know that being upset won't change anything, any outcome. This inner calmness is peace. Another example I can think of is, my mother. I remember when I was young, so my mother sometimes will come fully hassled. And, my house name was Sanju. They used to call me by that name. So my mother will say, Sanju, mujhe thodi der ke liye akela chhod de. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone because I want to be in peace with myself. मुझे शांति से 2 मिनट छोड़ दो अकेला. Does it sound familiar? That is the quality we are talking about, the quality of peace. So this is our default quality. And when we dwell deeper, when we become more consciously aware, if we know that this is a quality which is actually lying with all of us, then at the right appropriate time, at the right opportune time, we can make use of that. For example, the example of traffic, which few minutes back I spoke about, and I'm sure that none of us is an exception. Today, in each and every city, whether it is metro cities or the smaller cities, the state of traffic, the way it is. And we tend to become, agitated by the constant honking, and we start getting frustration. So that time, please do remember that peace is our soul's default state. And if we focus on that, we can definitely reach a state of calmness. And then there are some folks who go a step further. They find their own means. For example, listening to podcasts, listening to something more inspiring, while they are on their commute. So that's the realm of peace. Let's go further and let's look at the second attribute of the soul, which is there well within us, but we have to be aware of that. This second quality is love. The soul's love is pure and it is unconditional. And it is not based on what someone does or doesn't do for you. It's the kind of love that sees the goodness in everyone. And the very common example which comes quickly again to my mind is that of a parent. A parent cares for their child without expecting anything in return. Even when the child misbehaves, the parent continues to love them, guides them with patience, care. This is the love that flows from the place of understanding and compassion, without any conditions or expectations. And this is the second, this is again a very, those of us who can go much further deep into our conscious awareness, they go step deeper into the state of love, and that is where they don't find any difference between, one individual and the other, where the distinction evaporates. And that is what some of us, we hear in the wisdom literature. It's called unity of consciousness. जब अपने और पराये में कोई फर्क नहीं रह जाता, because we see everyone with the one eye. And that is the realm of love. Let's go a step further into the third soul quality. And that is the quality of joy. Joy, I mean happiness. If we ask each one of you, why are you working so hard? And after that, sooner or later, your answer will be for happiness, for joy. But then true joy comes from within, and it is not actually dependent on material things or circumstances. It is a deep sense of happiness that remains even when life is not perfect. And this distinction we all can make when we dwell deep into our consciousness. Let me give you an example of, these days lots of layoffs are going on. So suppose a person loses the job, but then the person does not lose their sense of joy, because the person is anchored in the deeper understanding that it's the worth, their own worth is not tied to just external success. He maintains his positive outlook. He appreciates life and the relationships and finds joy in small moments of gratitude. And some of us who are, I know, I can recognize, Prakash, my friend, he has joined already in this call. Prakash is a very senior company, professional. He is managing director of a company, very big company. And I know he practices this by going further deeper, what he calls as journaling, gratitude journaling. And that is nothing but expressing joy a step further. And what it does to Prakash, I'm sure that he gets that deep sense of happiness, that deep sense of being with himself, even when outside there are lots and lots of challenges. I'm sure being managing director, he is facing so many challenges every day, now and then. I also recognize another participant here, Praneeth. Praneeth is a middle-level software professional who has come back from US. And now he's heading a company unit in Hyderabad, a particular division. And I remember discussing with him that when he started practicing gratitude in his morning sadhana of his yoga, he felt a different individual in himself. And he found internal peace, internal calm. And that helped him in reinventing himself when he faces challenges with respect to, very agonized customers of his software. They can be internal customers, they can be external customers. And then, of course, I remember Ashwini. With Ashwini, I was talking recently. Ashwini is a homemaker, and she is a mother to a young child. And she practices this particular joy, gratitude journaling, and then only able to navigate those challenges when sometimes she feels frustrated. So we discussed about peace, and we took the example of the traffic and finding peace in the ever busy traffics in our cities. We talked about love, where we talked about the parental love, the mother's love for the young child. I remember Ashwini talking about how fondly she manages his son, even when he tests her patience. But still, from that place of understanding and compassion, without any conditions, without any expectations, the mother love flows. And I'm sure all of us have realized it. And these are the expressions we can extend to our external world. And then we talked about joy and the gratitude and how our friends in corporate world and household are using that. Let's dwell a little more deeper into the fourth quality of the soul, which is purity. Purity is the soul's original state, because soul is free from any negative influence or desire or attachments. It reflects innocence, truth, and integrity in thoughts, words, and actions. So a very good example of purity, whenever we talk about purity, one name which comes very quickly is about Mother Teresa. Another name which comes very quickly to my mind is of past President 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲𝗓𝗓. Why? Or let's talk about recently what we heard since last 1 week. Ratan Tata. Purity. Purity because they expressed themselves in their thoughts, words and actions in unity. जो उन्होंने बोला, जो उन्होंने सोचा, जो उन्होंने बोला और जो उन्होंने किया, that was same. And that is why purity always excites us. And that is why all of us get attracted towards purity. And I'm sure many of you who are reading the newspapers and the web, there are so many numerous stories about Ratan Tata. How the person behaved, particularly when the most challenging situation came in his life. And all of us know that. We all had seen it in our TV screens on 26/11 in Mumbai, when those terrorists came into the Taj Mahal hotel. And here was chairman who reached there within no time. And he was leading by example, right being at the front. So this was purity. Purity in thought, purity in word, and finally purity in action. And that is why people still remember him. And one anecdote, one Tata company person was talking about that after some time, when Ratan Tata was talking to the HR head, so HR head was saying that, look, Mr. Tata, we are doing this thing for our employees, this thing, that thing. So after listening patiently to the HR head, what Ratan Tata said was, thanks, you are doing great. But I want to ask you, what more can we do? How else we can help in this particular situation, which can at least unburden some of the heaviness from the people's mind, from the people's shoulders. That was the great man, Ratan Tata. That is the extent of purity, which in the soul's original state, if all of us remember, even some part of it, I think we can make our life truly, truly successful. We can make ourselves totally feeling fulfilled. Let's go a step further and let's explore the fifth power of the soul, which is the power called power. And here I would like to draw upon you, recently Navratras have gone over, and we have seen the goddess with 8 hands, 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲𝗱. So 𝗟𝗏 the 𝗟𝗏 powers, the 8 powers we are talking about. And these are the powers of the soul. So power here refers to the inner spiritual strength. And it is this ability to remain stable, resist negative influences, and make wiser decisions. We will delve deeper into those 8 powers if the time permits in our call today. But let us take an example. from our day-to-day life of the power. Suppose you are in a heated argument, and instead of losing control or responding in anger, you remain calm and composed. That is when you are using your inner power. Because you chose your inner power to choose your words wisely. And you focused on resolving the conflict rather than escalating it. This strength to control your reactions reflects the spiritual power we are talking about. Let's go further and let's look at the sixth spiritual quality, and that is the quality of knowledge, what we call 𝗟𝗰. Now, without any 𝗟𝗰, without any understanding, without dwelling deeper into our conscious awareness, we cannot understand all these things. So we need to have definitely a bent of mind and interest, and then understanding. An understanding of the soul's eternal nature, the law of karma, and the deeper purpose of life. Because then, with that knowledge, it will give us clarity and insight into why things happen the way they do. Let's look at an example for knowledge. Suppose there is a person who is facing a challenging situation at work. He may accept it gracefully, knowing that life is a series of learning experiences. They understand that everything happens for a reason, perhaps as a result of past actions, karma. And they focus on learning from the situations rather than feeling victimized. This spiritual insight shows the power of knowledge. And here, let me also talk about a story which comes to my mind about, Kauravas. The question came, why did Kaurava lost 100 children? So then it was told that it was the law of karma. Then the question came, okay, if it was karma, then why they have to lose 100 of the Kaurava brothers? The answer came that the father, Yudhishthir, in his previous birth, had shot an arrow when he was a hunter, and that arrow, when had gone inside the tree, had hurt a nest which had 100 small birds. And that was 50 births earlier. Then the question came, why then the 50th rebirth, this thing happened? Why not on 49th? Why not on 51st? So they said the Yudhishthir was not prepared physically, mentally, intellectually, emotionally to bear that in the first 49 births. In the 50th birth, when he was blessed with all these powers and he had the capability, that is when the law of karma acted. Then he faced that situation. So God also gives a particular situation to someone, when he finds that particular individual is really prepared and can withstand that jolt, then that situation is presented in front of the individual. So we talked about 6 qualities already of the soul. We started with peace, we went to love, we went to joy, we went to purity, power, and knowledge. And last is the quality of bliss. Bliss is the soul's highest state. It is the state of contentment and fulfillment. It is beyond fleeting pleasure or happiness. It is a reflection of a state of deep spiritual connection and satisfaction. And this is that highest state, what we were talking about, the state of unity of consciousness. जब आत्मा और परमात्मा के बीच में कोई फर्क नहीं रह जाता. So that reminds me of another story of, माखन चोर. तो कृष्ण के केस में, अभी जन्माष्टमी कुछ दिनों पहले ही गया. So Krishna was called Makhan Chor. So what is that Makhan Chor? Is the Lord of the universe? Can he be stealing butter in his childhood? So the spiritual meaning of that Makhan Chor, let's look at that, what it was. So that is what is stated in the wisdom literature is, जब आत्मा उतने हाई लेवल पे पहुंच जाती है कि वो अपने और किसी और के बीच में, when a soul does not find any distinction between oneself and the others, when there is unity of consciousness, आत्मा और परमात्मा एक ही है, उसको भान हो जाता है. When he reaches that state and he finds no distinction between himself and the others, and he sees everybody with some bhav, and that is what is the meaning of the thing called Makhan Chor. कि जब थोड़ा सा जो भाव रह जाता है of I, myself, वो भी जब निकल जाता है, तो that is what is called, कृष्ण आते हैं और वो माखन जो थोड़ा सा भी मैं का कर्ता वाला भाव जो बचा होता है एक आत्मा में towards the end of his elevated consciousness, जब वो भी निकल जाता है, that is called माखन चोर. तो कृष्ण जो है वो माखन भी ले लेते हैं. So that there is no distinction. You are the Krishna element. You are the Paramatma element. When you start seeing everyone with that state, in that highest state, that is the state of bliss we are talking about, the 7th soul quality here. So after meditating deeply, when you feel a sense of profound connection to the universe or to the God or to the higher power, where everything feels complete and whole. जो माखन था वो भी चला गया, माखन चोर ले गया. When you are complete and whole now, nothing is left. You don't feel the need for anything external to make you happy because you are in that state of bliss beyond worldly desires. This deep inner contentment is an expression of the soul's bliss. So friends, we talked about, the 7 qualities of the soul. We started with peace, and we saw the example of staying calm in traffic when others are stressed. Then we talked about love, where we talked about a parental's unconditional care for the child, regardless of the behavior. Then we talked about the 3rd quality of joy, where remaining joyful even after losing a job and focusing on gratitude, we saw. Then we talked about purity, where we talked about always being truthful and kind in all interactions. And we saw the examples of Mother Teresa, APJ Abdul Kalam, Ratan Tata, and I'm sure there are many more you can think of. And then we talked about power, where we saw the example of staying composed in an argument and choosing calm over anger. And then we moved to knowledge, where we saw the example of understanding a difficult situation as a learning experience guided by karma. And in that, we saw the example of Kauravas losing the 100 brothers in the war of Mahabharat, how it was karma. And finally, we talked about bliss, about feeling complete and fulfilled after meditation without any need for external validation. So each of these qualities are inherent in every soul. And by practicing our conscious awareness, we can bring them into our daily lives. And here, you can have different examples. Some people go into the realm of deeper levels of conscious awareness when they are practicing mindfulness. Some feel that mindfulness state when they go out with the nature, in the park, in the wilderness. Strokes for different folks. So I think we are already 48 minutes past 7. So I have covered what I aim to cover during this talk. And now I would request if anybody has got any question, they can raise their hand, and then we can talk about that. Yeah, 𝗟𝗶. Go ahead.
Hey Tarun, thank you so much Hi. Thank you so much for the wonderful insights that you shared. And my question is about, I guess it was point number 2, maybe, yeah, where you mentioned a little bit about, unity in consciousness. So I had a question like, when we go to that level of love where we don't differentiate between the other person, in that case, where does this concept of boundary comes in, or how does that gets applied when we are at that stage?
Yeah, great. So 𝗟𝗶, सबसे पहले तो the concept of boundary is, it means we are at the initial level of consciousness, where we still have distinction between me and the others. And that is to very large extent required when we are operating in the material world today, when we are operating in the corporate world today. So with respect to setting of healthy boundaries and then defending those healthy boundaries, because setting of boundary is nothing. That is just 5% of the job. That happened between India and Pakistan in 1947. But after that, since so many years, we are defending those boundaries by buying arms, by putting our military, and by doing so many other things every day. So, जहां तक बाउंड्री का सवाल है रूपाली, that is bound to happen in the physical world with जब तक हमारा, we have physical, we are still at the level of physical, and that is physical. When I say that is व्यवहार के level पे, अब हमें काम तो करना ही है, हमें ऑफिस तो जाना ही है, और ऑफिस का जो माहौल है उसमें हमें, अगर हम हेल्दी बाउंड्री नहीं रखेंगे, कैन वी एग्जिस्ट?
No.
We'll be thrown off. People will walk over us, and so many things will happen. तो इसमें ये जो आज हम टॉपिक के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं ना रूपाली, this is after many years of sadhana. And when you reach to that understanding level, some people are gifted and they reach to the 7th level of that unity of consciousness, the state of bliss we were talking about, very fast, very early in their life. For example, Swami Vivekananda, at a very young age. So those are the great souls. Whereas we people, we have to defend them by setting those boundaries. So हमें तो वो उस लेवल पे तब तक काम करना है जब तक हमारा सराउंडिंग और वो सब उस लेवल तक नहीं पहुंच जाता. So Rupali, have I answered your question?
Yes, almost. This is very important. And even in case of like love relationships, we still then go ahead and set healthy boundaries, right?
Very much, Rupali.
Okay.
And उसका रीजन ये रहता है रूपाली, that we are so invested with respect to our time and energy in the relationships, which we are never spend that kind of time and energy in our office. At least many of us who are sane people, who know that we are easily replaceable in corporate world today. One layoff happens and any number of positions will be becoming redundant, and for no reasons and rhyme, somebody will be given a pink slip, and next day somebody else will be managing the responsibility. Whereas in relationship, we spend disproportionate time and energy, and that's why our frustration becomes high there. So that distinction we have to always keep. With respect to relationships, we are very heavily invested. And that is why you will find that some of us who are very focused in one realm of our, say, work, in, say, corporate world, but then they get disillusioned when they are in the realm of relationships, say at home or with respect to their close loved ones. I don't want to name in this forum CEO of a multi-crore company today, of a bank rather, whose life I know is in shambles. But that person is earning multi-crores of rupees. Is it worth it, Rupali? That kind of money?
No.
And that kind of, suffering?
No.
So that's what is our conscious awareness, that we have to go deeper. It's like onions. Onion ka peel by peel hota hai na, हमको वो उतारना है. And we have to dig deeper, deeper, deeper. And then we reach that state. And then we come to that position, Rupali.
Understood.
So thank you, Rupali, for that question. I see Anand has also raised his hand. Anand, go ahead, please.
Hello, hi. Thanks for letting me ask this question. My question is with respect to my relationship with myself, and it's pertinent to a particular experience that I had today, and I can see it clearly as a spiritual experience. Today in the morning, when I got up off my bed, I had this vision of me being a liar through a lot of phases of my life, being lying to people and being untrue in various situations. And suddenly tears started rolling off my eyes, and I started to go in deep prayer to my higher power, and I kind of communicated to remove this defect of mine and connect me to my true inner self. And what happened during the day was that I had to meet my divorce lawyer, and I went and met him. Whatever had happened, whatever had to happen had happened within that meeting. And later in the evening, I got a warning from the uh, from the opposite party with respect to a certain situation. And I see that throughout the whole incident, when and this has been going on for a long time now, and when such a thing used to happen to me earlier, I used to get very agitated and angry and hurt and all sort of negative emotions used to creep into me. But today, uh, when I was attending your this discourse, I was feeling complete calm even before that. You know, uh, throughout the whole of the day, though I went through the stages of fear and a bit of hesitation and all, but but nowhere I was there in the region where it could be called distress in any sense of the word. I was at peace with myself, right? And as I was listening to the concluding portion of your of the soul qualities that you were describing, suddenly again tears started rolling up my eyes, and I felt as if I got the answer to my prayers that I said in the morning. Now, my question is, where can I see myself in my soul journey uh, in terms of the qualities where you just described? That's what I had to ask.
Yeah, thanks, Anand. Thanks, I really appreciate your, sharing so transparently your feelings. And I must acknowledge that, you are in a very, very overwhelming state at this point of time, because you are facing the challenge of going through separation with your loved ones. And, sometimes life brings to us such situations. And these situations are brought in our life to give a particular lesson. And those lessons, when they are learned, then when you come out of that situation, then you outshine. Then you become a different individual. And what I can quickly say to you is that today what happened to you was your soul actually is in that state. So first and foremost, I would say congratulations to you, because when you say tears flowed out of your eyes in the morning, and today, after listening to all these qualities of the soul, again tears flowed out of your eyes, that means you are a very sensitive, you are a very conscious, you are a very, you are a soul who is evolving. And all of us go through that journey, Anand. And your name itself is Anand. And in our 7 qualities of soul, I don't know, you noticed, we talked about Anand in 2 different ways. In out of 7, there are 2 qualities of Anand only. It is called joy and bliss. And you not only understood that, but you resonated with that. That's why the tears which flowed out of your eyes were out of that gratitude, out of that realization, out of that feeling, out of those emotions. So let it flow. Get yourself unburdened. Get yourself, be light. Because you are going through so much overwhelming circumstances, situations. So you need to be in that space. And do remember that unless and until this brushness with the tough situation does not come, the actual sprout of your inner being in full bloom, जो सतोगुनी आत्मा 7 गुणों से परिपूर्ण, वो तब निकलेगी. The soul with its full bloom, totally at the highest amplitude, with all the 7 powers, will fully bloom when you will resonate with all these powers. So your soul has started the journey. It is already there. So हम लोग उसको बोलते हैं, the journey has begun. And good beginning is half the journey done. So now take positive cues out of that and continue your journey. And go through the next place as is destined for you in the most healthy manner. And don't get into that trap where most of us tend to get trapped when we face challenging situations in our life. What we do? We start blaming ourselves. We start blaming others. When we fell short of blaming ourselves, when we fall short of blaming others, we start blaming God, the highest power also. But the real power is when you realize that you have to take charge now. And once you start realizing that, then automatically magic starts flowing into your life. Automatically you will start resonating to the positiveness, and you will start attracting positive people in your life. And that is when the whole thing will change in a U-turn. You will be very soon be attracting so many souls, beautiful souls, who will make your journey of life much more beautiful, much more fulfilling, much more satisfying. Have I answered your question, Anand?
Yes, very, very thoroughly. Just to add one more thing that I felt was that the peace that I was experiencing, I could relate it to the fact that the step that I was taking today wasn't the intention of love for myself and the love for the other person, because we were in a very toxic relationship and it was hurting both of us like anything. that peace was there. I was in a calm state throughout the day. And here I got my answer, why for? So thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Anand. Really appreciate your opening up and sharing so candidly. Rupali, I see you have again raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So based on like Anand's question, I also like got some similar question, and your answer did help a lot for my question as well. So just to add on to my previous question, this is about so when we are in search of finding a right partner, in that case, if we are at a level where we are kind of already a bit spiritual on that path and on that journey, so the other person that we are looking at, I think what I understood based on this conversation and the insights that I received throughout today's call, um, I felt that like instead of looking for someone who believes in having uh, like an attitude where it's like tit for tat, if you do this then this and all those kind of things, instead of that, like maybe uh, at one point we can start looking for a better set of people who have this understanding of all these good qualities and things like that. So that is something that I kind of got as an insight, and I would just like to take your like opinion or suggestion if I'm understanding it right.
Yeah, Rupali, you are absolutely right. Bingo, I would say. I would add one or two more comments just for your, because we have talked in the past, so I
Yeah.
understand a little bit more of one another. So I will go and take liberty and say a couple of more things to you at this point of time. Because you are on that track, you already have set in and you have started realizing it. And now the beauty is how to make it more and more effective. हम लोग वो बोलते हैं ना दवाई के अंदर what we call it as efficiency, what we call it as effectiveness. So in your journey, now that is what has to come. So you have to move from the mode of doing to mode of being. So let me explain a little about doing versus being. जब तक हम सिर्फ when we are reading and when we are talking, then we are simply at the realm of doing. But we are not at the realm of being. And here I would refer to the fourth spiritual quality of purity, which we were talking today at great length about Ratan Tata. अब एक कंपनी का चेयरमैन इतनी ज्यादा हाई पोजीशन पे था, he could have sent his CEO, he could have sent his other senior company people, but no, he himself was there. Why he was there? Because he was resonating, he was being. उसके पास कोई दूसरा चॉइस ही नहीं था, रूपाली. Nothing less than that would have given that satisfaction. He has to be physically there and being with his team members. Because by seeing him, imagine what kind of motivation, what kind of zeal comes in the mind of the employees when they see Mr. Tata himself being. Or let us take the case of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, उनको क्या जरूरत थी लेप्रेसी पेशेंट्स को at the street level, thinking about them, mending to them, creating a hospital for them, going to corporates and asking for biscuits and then feeding it to them, and then creating institutions so that the cause remains even after she has passed. And then people realize, अरे ऐसी आत्मा को तो we should call saint. The realization of the people came much later. The third example was of 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲𝗯𝗚 Abdul-Kalam. You saw when he retired, or when he expired rather, people declared his wealth. What was there in that wealth? Few rupees and few clothes and few books. That is all. And he was the president. Imagine today, even a corporate legislator has got, I think, multiple thousand times the wealth within a year. So this is what happens. These are examples of being. और ये being जो होता है ना रूपाली, ये तुरंत नहीं आता है. ये आता है with what Anand was explaining, you know, कि वो जो है, उसको जो है, he went through that different a difficult situation. तभी उसमें से निखार के वो उसको कहते हैं ना, जो नेचर में जब गेहूं लगता है या राइस लगता है, तो अनलेस एंड अनटिल ड्रॉट सिचुएशन मींस पानी की कमी या पानी ज्यादा आ गया, नेचर स्टार्ट्स बिहेविंग डिफरेंटली. तब वो उसमें निखार आता है, उसमें तब असल चैलेंजिंग सिचुएशंस के थ्रू उसमें वो आपस में जब वो टकराते हैं, then that true self comes out, that in full bloom which we were talking about. So that is what has to happen. So you are on the right track, Rupali. You are going to attract right individuals who will resonate with these powers which you exhibit. Because I know you have done exemplary good for yourself. You are in a foreign land doing a master's degree. And many people in India even dream of those things. For millions in this country, that is a dream life which Rupali today you are living. So first and foremost, you have to have that gratitude that what life has given to you. And you have to accept certain challenges which came along with that. And why those challenges came? Because you were not equipoised. You were spending disproportionate time, energy, money I would say, towards certain other things. But the moment you became aware, you course corrected, and you are now leading towards that healthy way of life, everything is falling in place. And everything will shine, and you will outshine, and you will attract those right kind of partners. Yeah, Rupali?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Great. I see Kanika raised her hand, and after that, Parth will come to you after that. So, Kanika, go
Thank
ahead.
you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Tarun. Tarun, I have a question. So, as you spoke about the challenges, so there are few challenges who keep on coming every time in having the same situation, but in the different phases. So, for example, my 16 year of work experience from past 10 years, I'm facing a lot challenges specifically with my manager. Is this something related to my karmic account which keeps on coming every time? Because I work with two managers and they are just, I mean, I really can't explain how they are. They have their behavior with me, and I'm not able to express myself. Just because of that, I've loses my confidence. I'm not able to articulate in front of my manager because I always came into a fear that what the manager will react, how it will, the reaction will be. So it keeps on coming. It's something which is again, so switching job is not a solution for me because something which is keep on coming every time and the manager changes but the situation is remain the same. So it's something related to past karmas which I need to break down and how I can come out of it is my
Yeah,
question.
Kanika, yeah, thanks. Understood. So, Kanika, this is very, very common nowadays. And why it is common nowadays? Because there are so many layoffs. And the moment there are layoffs, the moment there are such news floating around, everybody starts becoming self-defensive. And certain behaviors come out of that. And then it becomes, particularly in such situations, it becomes of higher amplitude during such timings. But coming to your specific question of a particular manager, so usme, Kanika, the only question I have to ask is, why does it bother you? Why are you
Because
giving your life?
more than
Listen.
agree, but
Allow me to say few sentences, then I'll take up your follow-up question. Kanika, the first question you have to ask is, the manager is behaving the way he is behaving, it is because of his insecurity. Out of his poor understanding of how to behave with his team associates. He is not understanding. And it is his deep insecurity that he tends to, micromanage things. Or he tends to find faults. Or because he gets a good beating out of his manager and he downloads all that to his team associates. He doesn't know how to absorb those shocks. The moment you come into a managerial level, you are expected to, behave in a very emotionally stable manner. So it is not your case at all, Kanika, here. It is the case of your manager. But now the question comes is, why is your immunity low? That you are letting that manager prevail over you. और हम उसको coaching की language में, if you would have attended many of our Anamify webinars, we call it कि आपने अपना remote जो है उनको क्यों दे दिया? Does that answer, Kanika?
very true, Tarun. But the only thing is fear of losing job because you have so much of responsibilities on your head, so you can't even
Now you said
get into
it.
that. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Now you said it, Kanika. So uske liye jo hai na, Kanika, that is where you have to now work towards that. So isko hum log bolte hain, abhi again I will come to the third spiritual power. हम जब कह रहे थे ना कि मन से, वचन से और कर्म से, in our thoughts, in our words and in our actions, we have to be aligned. So in that, when this truth dwells on us, that it is this particular fear which is operating on me, then you have to start working towards that, Kanika. And there are many practices, there are many techniques. You can learn that. And for that, you know how to use Anamify coaching, which we give on pro bono basis for our new laser coach, as well as if you are looking for more number of coaching sessions and want to consult our master coaches, you have all the options open in front of you. So there are many things you can do, Kanika, over there. Yeah?
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Now we go to Parth.
नमस्ते सर.
Namaste, Parth.
सर जब दो पेरेंट्स के बीच में गैप आ जाता है तो उस टाइम बच्चों के इमोशंस को कैसे हैंडल करें, बच्चों को कैसे सिखाएं कि वो अच्छी हैबिट्स डेवलप करें.
Parth,
क्योंकि दो
if you don't mind,
पेरेंट्स
are you
एक दूसरे के
sorry, Parth, I am intervening you, interfering you. Just थोड़ा सा before you go further, आप पहले ये क्लियर कर दो कि आप वो बच्चा हो या आप वो पेरेंट हो.
मैं पेरेंट हूँ.
ओके, सो पार्थ अभी आप अपना क्वेश्चन फिर से बोलिए.
कि जब दो पेरेंट्स के बीच में गैप आ जाता है, उनकी थिंकिंग में गैप आ गया, एक्शंस में गैप आ गया, तो उसका असर बच्चों पे पड़ता है. तो बच्चों को कैसे, मतलब कि उनके इमोशंस को कैसे प्रोटेक्ट करें, उनको अच्छी हैबिट्स कैसे डालें जब दोनों पेरेंट्स सेल्फ डिफेंसिव मोड पे आ गए एक दूसरे के लिए.
Perfect question, Parth. Thank you for asking this question, because this is something which many of us have to learn and I would say unlearn. और उसका मैं सिर्फ 2 सेंटेंस में आपको आंसर दूंगा. In India, for so many years, we have practiced what is called fear-based parenting. And what we have to learn, Parth, is trust-based parenting. It is easy to practice fear-based parenting क्योंकि उसमें जो वो पुराना स्टाइल था जिसमें बच्चे को छड़ी दिखाई, बच्चा भी घबरा जाता था और उसमें भी फियर आ जाता था. इस केस में भी वही होता है. When parents are fighting, the poor child, he is so young, so impressionable, और उसकी तो सबकॉन्शियस में डायरेक्टली कोडिंग हो रही है उस टाइम. यू नो, हम लोग जो बोलते हैं ना, अगर 2 से 5 साल का बच्चा है तो उसका 80% तो डेस्टिनिटी वहीं पे ही डिफाइन हो जाती है कि उस टाइम पे उसके सबकॉन्शियस में क्या क्या लिखा गया. And now that we all are well familiar with computers, तो वो जो हार्ड डिस्क की जो फॉर्मेटिंग होती है, we can understand by that concept कि वो 2 से 5 साल में बच्चे ने जो देखा होता है वो हो जाता है, और फिर 5 साल से लेके टीन्स तक वो धीरे 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 उसके सबकॉन्शियस में वो सारी चीजें बैठती रहती है. And then they play out in the later part of the life. So इस टाइम पे जो पेरेंट्स का जो एक सबसे ज्यादा अनलर्न करने का है वो है फियर बेस्ड पेरेंटिंग को, जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली many of us in India still practice even in today's world. And what we have to learn and what we have to practice is the trust-based parenting. And this is a separate topic by itself, Parth. I will not go more deeper than this, and I would suggest that you consult through our coaches at our platform Anamify.com, and you can take further help. But this is the short and sweet for you at this point of time, Parth.
सर मैं ट्रस्ट बेस्ड पेरेंटिंग कर रही हूँ, लेकिन बच्चों का स्क्रीन टाइम बहुत ज्यादा है. मेरे बच्चों का 3 to 4 hours a day. तो उनका फोकस.
Parth, there are techniques for that also. So again, in the trust-based parenting itself, there are ways to tackle these challenges. In fact, there are, आप तो बहुत हल्का बोल रहे हो, हमारे पास जो केसेस आते हैं उसमें तो आजकल इससे भी हायर मैग्नीट्यूड के, I don't want to scare you, but I don't want to scare others also. But that is the reality of the society in which we are living today. There are cases of vape, the electronic cigarette, being found by the schools in the geometry box or in the bags of the school children. And there are many more things. I don't want to go there. But there are techniques, there are ways to circumvent that. These all can be tackled. These all techniques are talked about in our sessions. So you can take that specialized coaching and we can tackle it there. Yeah, Parth?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, friends, I think we are well past our finishing time, and I really thank you for being such an active audience. And if anybody has got any other thought or any other reaction or any other comment, feel free to unmute and speak. Otherwise, we can conclude our session here. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being such a lovely and wonderful audience. Anybody? Thank you. Thank you, Moshmi. Okay. So with that, we conclude and we sign off here and we meet next time in our next webinar. Thank you all. Thank you, Praneeth. Thank you, Preeti. Okay, thanks. Thanks all. I'll close the call now. Thank you, Anu. Thank you. Thank you. Bye all. Have a good day.